Hi everyone, and oh, what the hell just happened there? Sorry, a dictionary just popped up for some reason. I don't know if you saw that, but all right, we'll start that again. Hello everyone. Third time lucky. I'm very professional around here. Hello everyone, and welcome to One Six Figure Focus. You're watching episode number 37 of Visions. It's a live stream where every single episode I sit down with a different member of the 1/6 scale community and discuss the past, the present, and the future of their collecting journey. This next man, I never met him in person, but he was at Star Wars Celebration, and due to terrible Wi-Fi and signal, if you were there, you know, you know. We didn't get to meet face to face, but we have streamed once or twice now, and we've been trying to get this done for a while. So yeah, he is a massive Star Wars collector. He's got an absolutely beautiful module case display behind him. So just going to introduce you to Dan in Carbonite. Dan,
Hello.
how was your weekend going?
Good. Coronation weekend for us, so bit of family stuff and yeah, good. Yeah, nice. It's just been quite mellow. It's bank holiday, so I've just been away with work. I'm actually a music photographer as well, so I get to travel a bit. So I was in Milan on Friday, so I've just
Cool.
flown back and straight back into
That rock star
coronation
lifestyle, man.
madness. Yeah, a lot of
And
tiredness though.
I have to ask, because I don't know, maybe it's a personal thing. Like if I know if they were swearing in a new president over here, I'd be like, yeah, I wouldn't watch it on TV. I'd catch me. No, I wouldn't really have too much of an interest. Is it a massive deal over there for everyone, or does it just depends on who you ask?
I think it depends on who you ask. I think the older generation find it a massive deal, but I'm sort of in the middle, if you know what I mean. So I've got two kids. They're 14 and 12, so they're not at that sort of stage where when I was younger and watching Princess Diana's wedding and
Yeah,
things like
yeah,
that, it was a
yeah.
big
Gotcha,
deal. Where
gotcha.
now they're a bit like, ugh. But it was just I think for if you like the monarchy or not, that's not something we're going to get into today. But
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
the I just like watching all that yesterday was pretty impressive. We know how to put on a pomp
Yeah,
and
put on a show, yeah,
put it on a show.
yeah,
I mean, everyone can talk about how much money it costs and everything, but I think
yeah,
it's not going to happen for hopefully a
yeah.
few years again. So I mean, not the problem is though is that the last few years we've obviously had the Jubilee last year, and obviously the Queen passing away, and this. So within in a year, we've had three massive sort of this sort of ceremony sort of things with
Yeah.
the mall and the balconies. Well,
Gotcha.
and
So
all
it's
that
kind of
sort of
like
stuff.
a history. You're kind of watching history unfold, I
I
suppose.
think yesterday. I mean, obviously you're over in Ireland, but I don't know what the coverage like was over there.
Yeah,
But
it was on TV and it was covered and stuff like that. It would have been on TV and covered in news and stuff like that because
yeah,
it's
and I mean,
world news.
you can't help not watch it and go, wow, this is a part of history. 1,000 years in
Yeah,
that church. So, but yeah, it's good. It's
gotcha.
done now, isn't it? And there's a concert on tonight, which I won't watch. But yeah,
And
yeah,
you got a
just
day off.
day off tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's full on. Yeah, so I can't wait.
yeah.
I'll go and
Well,
see
one thing over
Guardians
here.
tomorrow.
Pardon,
Go and see Guardians tomorrow with the family.
mate.
Is it good?
I saw it last night.
Oh man,
Um, I haven't seen a good MCU film since No Way Home. Like
I'm
No Way Home,
excited.
I left the cinema going, I want to see it again. I want to see it again. Um, whereas I haven't had that feeling with any other Marvel movie since, and the MCU needed a win, and they got one.
Do you know
That's
what?
all I'm
I'm
going to say.
exactly the same as you. I think it's really weird. Infinity War for me is the ultimate Marvel film. It was perfect. I loved them. Obviously, Endgame, they're in the same sort of thing. But I felt after that, I mean, I loved No Way Home because I think it was something obviously slightly different with the MCU. But I just was marveled out. I just don't think they got me, any. I think the emotion from Endgame took so much
Yeah.
out of me. The year, I watched it and probably it's one of the only films that I've actually welled up on in a long time, in the end.
This is my point because I think you're speaking my language. The way I see, without sounding pretentious or whatever, good art, like obviously you're into music, it's part of your
Yeah.
profession. Like I used to play in a band. I've been, music it sounds so corny, it was my first love, really. So I used to play a band from 16 onwards. And I just, I'm a lifelong music fan. But for me, like good art, whether it's music, whether it's like a painting, whether it's live theater or a movie or TV show, it should provoke some form of emotion or thought, whether that's happiness or joy or sorrow or depression or whatever. There should be some, it should get you in the feels in some way. And that's exactly, Endgame it had that, and Infinity War had that, and I thought No Way Home had, this
Yeah.
has that. But
Brilliant.
I don't want to spoil
No,
anything.
don't.
You know,
It's funny though, is that my girls, again, I was 12 and 14, you know, they were all up to Endgame. We got them there. You know, we were going to the cinema. I was going at we used to go to the midnight showings, you know, which is crazy, so tired. And then I'd go
you're
the next
memory
day.
making right there. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna remember that like long into the future, that MCU will always probably pull at their heartstrings.
But they've been the same as me with Ant-Man is the only film I've not seen probably since the first Thor, not in the cinema, because I didn't go for the first couple of, you know, Iron Man and Iron Man 2, because it was just but we haven't seen Ant-Man and they've got no interest in it. And like we saw Eternals in the cinema, Shang-Chi, Thor, Doctor Strange, and that was it. You know, they never talk about it again. Normally they're like, oh my God, and like that. And I think that this, you know, they watched one She-Hulk and turned it off, you know, because I'm going on what they're...
Not surprised.
Yeah. So I'm going on what they're sort of, you know, what they're sort of feeling and all that sort of stuff. And I think, you know, even they've said, oh, I'm not really up for Marvel. And then they saw they love Guardians and they've seen the reviews and they're like, oh, we can't wait now. We can't wait. And I want to get back to that. And they have lost that in the last phase, definitely, where before it would be an event, wouldn't it? You know, you'd be like, oh, we're going this. It's another Marvel movie. Oh, my God, look. I don't know if that's because of the Thanos, the Infinity Saga was all intertwined. And it seems a little bit here and there at the moment. I've not seen Ant-Man with Kang, so I don't really know too much. But
yeah, like as in I'm you're speaking my language, man. It's just and it sounds like your daughters have taste as well, because it's watching one episode of She-Hulk. I could see why someone wouldn't watch a second one, or you know, you go see the Eternals and then you follow it up with like Multiverse of Madness or Love and Thunder. It's a case of once bitten, twice shy. It's like, am I gonna the cinema? You have to take out a small little credit union loan to get in now. Like it's quite expensive. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
for a family of four as well.
Yeah, God,
you know,
yeah,
so
that's
not cheap. So
bloody £100. Right, I'm gonna address the chat really quickly and then go through some basic housekeeping and we'll get started. So if you're just joining us, you're here, episode number 37. I can't believe we've actually done 37 of these with Dan in Carbonite, and we're going to talk about his collecting journey. And well, he's actually going to do most of the talking here today. That's how it works. Right, so we're going to check in the chat. We've got Noble Young. Great to see you here. We got William Owens, channel member. We've got CBS Sci-Fi. We've got Mike. I see what you're doing there with your second name, Mike. I'm wise to you. We got Josh, Blue Tattoo, who was on episode number 36 of Visions yesterday. Really enjoyed talking. Absolute gentleman. S-Beam, or Stefan's brother. Just in case you didn't know. We've got Sean Firmage, I believe. Hi, Shane. Managed to catch you another live. You're becoming a regular around these parts. I like this series, says Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support. Sucks following Republic holidays, not getting Monday off here. Yeah, we don't get the Monday off here. We got Payden23, channel member. How are you doing? Guardians 3, easily one of my top 3 MCU movies. I can see why people would put it high up there. I can definitely see why people put it high up there. Yes, I agree. Payden says Guardians 3 is definitely a W. It's nice when MCU hits us with those bangers. Good morning, everyone. Like, I give it 4 stars out of 5, but I mean, sometimes when I see a movie and I know it's good, I need a second watch to really lock in my rating or whatever, but it's definitely a 4 star. I think that's I probably won't budge, maybe 4.5. I don't tend to give half stars, but Phil, channel member, great to see you. Massive shout out to the channel members here. I really appreciate it. Just going to give the commanders a very, very, very quick shout out here. So if you are part of the channel membership and you are a focus commander, you get your name in the outro. We got Chuli, channel member. Chuli giving a direct order would hit that like button. We've got Peter, Triple G Comics. We got Commander Green in the building. And I think that pretty much brings us up to date. So very quick, he's going to go through some the upcoming things in the channel before we get stuck in and talk about the past of and the start of Dan's collecting journey. Just shout out to the troopers. So there's 2 tiers of channel membership. You got the troopers and the commanders. If you want to know about the perks, just go to the channel membership tab and take a look. So we got Payden23, Mugwump, Andre, Chuli, Bendu Windu, Collector Joey, Ryan Smith, Tyria, and then in the commanders ranks we have X-Man Supreme, the Moose Dream, Philip the Fool, Keith the 6-scale Padawan, Mark Mitchell, William Owens, Brandon Salad, Phil Empire Strikes Again, Collecting Weekly, and Boba Fettuccini. Some new videos on the channel. We got my thoughts on this tease, the thoughts on the Purge, Droids, Commander Fox, and the Sidious new streams. We've got the Hope Show episode 1 and 2. Episode number 37, I think I made a mistake there. This is actually episode 38, and Blue Tattoo yesterday with Josh was 37, and now we have Dan in Carbonite, and that brings us up. We're ready to talk, or ready to listen, should I say. So Dan, I'm gonna hit you straight off the bat there. I'm just gonna put you on a bit of pressure. Okay, so I'm guessing you have some pre-orders currently.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could have 3 pre-orders magically appear right now, out of your pre-orders, what would they be?
Luke Bespin. Oh, it's weird, isn't it? Because do you know what, Shane? It's weird. I don't pre-order. I just buy from Hong Kong but I sort of warn them, if you know what I mean, that they're coming. So
well, even if you want to pick 3 figures that are up for pre-order, you might necessarily have to have pre-order and that and you could make them appear. What would they be?
Okay, well, Luke Bespin, because I think I haven't got a Luke in my collection at the moment, so I think that's for me is. Apart from Han Bespin, is my ultimate 2 Star Wars figures ever, because they're my favorite. They were my favorite Kenners. They were my favorite everything. So Luke Bespin. I would think I'd like to go. Fennec Shad. It was Shan, isn't it? Because that would go well. And it's hard, isn't it? Oh, it's really hard.
You don't make it easy here.
Probably Costa Reeves.
Gotcha. The head sculpt on that looks amazing, actually.
And well, I'm a massive WWE fan as well, so
gotcha.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Good stuff. Three good choices there.
So at the moment, that's at the moment. Just for Star Wars, I mean, other ones that RoboCop, I wouldn't mind. Nice. I think I'm going to go down that route. And then, obviously, we're waiting for things like The Flash to come out. So it'd be interesting to see what they release.
Yeah.
I'm still umming and ahhing about, we'll again talk about it later, about the way I want to go in my collection. So it's Star Wars at the moment with the odd one. I must say that I paid my Joker, though. My Joker's on its way, so it will be here in a week. So that's probably a pre-order that I want now, just to... You can see yours in the background there, and it looks amazing. It looks so good. So, and
even I've got one here. I've got the jail cell version, but every time I pick it up, I realize how heavy it is. It's actually, and the joints are stiff. Like you lock that into a pose, it's not going anywhere. I know you've had people complain about the magnets, but I genuinely think that's user error. But then again, in their defense, I'm a person who doesn't use bases, so I'm used to posing.
Well, I don't use the. Again, we can talk about that in a minute. But I don't use the original bases. I use the. I can show you in a minute. Whatever, we'll get to that if you know what I mean when we're talking about it. But yeah.
Right. So, look again. You can take this. It's your show. You can take this in any direction you want. I'm going to shout out a few kind of scaffold questions, just a few ideas to. Things that I'd like to know, things I'm sure people watching like to know, is like when I like hearing about collectors' journeys. So like kind of things like, what was your first ever 1/6 scale figure? Was it a hot toy? Who did you buy it from? How did you react to the price? Did you know you were in trouble, or did you kind of have yourself convinced it was just a one and done? It's just this Vader. Were you collecting anything at the time? Like, when was it? So basically, if you go back to the start about what mind frame you're in when you got your first 1/6 scale figure, and when that was, what it was, who did you go for? Were you collecting anything else at the time? Like, just take us back to the very first one, basically, and where you were.
The first 1/6 scale figure. Well, I probably, thinking about it now, even when you've just mentioned it, the first 1/6 figure I probably had was a Star Wars, or no, actually even further back would have been old Superman, Spider-Man, Batman things when you were a kid that I remember I actually Googled it the other day. They had the Batman had magnetic feet and you could hang them. And they're really comic book based, but I'm not saying how old I am, but it was in the late 70s, early 80s, we'll say.
You are not 80s. In your late 70s.
No, yeah. But, they were the first 1/6 sort of things when you look at it now. They probably weren't 1/6, but I remember I had Stretch Hulk. Do you remember Stretch Armstrong? But it was a Stretch Hulk. It was all around that time with the TV show came out. So I always used to be into figure sort of stuff. But I think the first 1/6 one that I sort of knew that I was buying that was 1/6 was the Hot Toys Christopher Reeve Superman. My friend Eamon O'Donoghue, who runs the Hot Toys podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard it. He's a friend of mine who lives here with me in Southampton, and he started buying the early ones, the early Predators and everything like that. The kit bashed ones. The Hot Toys, the early days. And I remember he told me about the Christopher Reeve, and I'm a massive Superman fan, especially Reeve. And he showed me them, and I was blown away what the realism was, and that was back then. I mean, it still holds up now, to be fair. And I remember I said to him, "Can you order it for me?" And he went through a guy called Feng, who is a Chinese. Can't remember his name of his store. He's an eBay seller. I don't think he is now. He's moved to online, but he's an eBay seller. And I pre-ordered it with him, and all I remember is how long it took. I kept going, "Is it out yet? Is it out yet? Is it out yet?" Because obviously, even now it's one of the big sort of problems, isn't it? Mm-hmm. With pre-orders, and I remember getting it through after about a year. It was about 200 quid, which was quite a lot back then. It sounds mad because how much they are now, some of the ones. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Superman Reeves box. It's beautiful. Shaped it's beautiful. It's
shaped the first isn't it?
It's the symbol, and it's a stunning box. And I remember opening it up and when the color hit you, the Reeve suit is beautiful. And I remember seeing it and went, "Oh my God, this is amazing." Wow. And I put it up with the stand with the carbon, with, the Fortress of Solitude sort of bits with it. It was a really cool stand. And that got me hooked. It was straight away. And then I've got a few friends lately that want to get into Hot Toys. And this is when they said, "I only want to get one. I want to get one." And I went, "Mate, once you get one, that's it. You won't." Yeah. He goes, "I want to get one. I want a Vader."
There is no one.
And he goes, "Well, you have to get a Vader. You have to get that Bespin Luke then to go with the Vader." And I always said to myself, "Oh, I'll get this Reeve Superman, put it on my desk." But my friend Eamon, like I said, had D-Toffs. So then I was like, "Oh, perhaps I'll get one D-Toff then," like that. So I remember getting I think I got the Superman in probably September or something. 2009 or 10, I think it was. Probably might have been a bit before. I think it was around then. And then at Christmas, I got the DX5 Indy. Then I got the first Thor. And then I got Iron Man 2. This is all within about a few weeks, and I was just and I was all over the show. I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a focus of what I wanted. So I was just trying to get all the IPs that I'd seen. Indy's a massive IP for me. And from there, and then it just started to grow and not go out of control. I've never been out of control. And I think, which we've always talked about on these sort of shows, you've got to have a plan financially as well, because it can, I've seen a few people in this hobby eat you up and financially become quite scary, if you know what I mean, with credit cards and things like that. You've got to be a bit more, I think you have to learn by your mistakes sometimes as well.
People out there, if they've got 50 plus pre-orders, I immediately do think, I wonder what the person does for a living. Yeah. And then I, second of all, think okay, if they're on a normal, regular job, not making six figures, I presume most of us aren't making six figures. We're bringing home six figures a month, but we're not making six figures a year. But I often think, do they do anything else but collect. Because collecting, like, as much as, you know, I love to collect, and I had a, you know, before I had an Instagram or a YouTube, I was a collector, and I'll be a collector long after. It's not my life, like, it's a part of my life, but I have other hobbies, you know what I mean? It's not like the only thing I do is collect and watch live streams. And if people do that, that's perfectly fine. But I do, when I see people like massive numbers of pre-orders, I get a bit like, whew, I couldn't be dealing with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot, like, you know?
It is, because we all know how much they cost. Now, if you can afford it, absolutely amazing. But I'm dad, wife, and kids, and family holidays, and all that sort of stuff, and they know how much these are. You can't, you know. In the old days, we all know the excuses. Sometimes we come up with, I pre-ordered that ages ago. I sold one to get it in.
Won it in a prize.
Yeah. Or
I traded it.
It was cheap. We
Yeah.
traded
I
it.
sold two last week, so
yeah. We all, excuse me. We all know those, and it's fine. But I think the older I've got, more focused I've been with my collection. But before you know, I started collecting hot toys, I collected autographs, and I've always been a collector, and even for not a hoarder, but I remember when we moved house, I'd collect soccer football programs, you know, like that you go to the games with, and you know, I was a big WWE fan, so I had all the little not Hasbro's, the little Hasbro figures, you know. And I was too old for them. I just bought them when I was old, you know. Just because I was I like to always buy. It's weird. I always like buying stuff that I'm into, to have that physical connection to it.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really odd, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
I've always been like that, and it's like, so if I'm watching WWE back then, I was about. This is like late 80s, early 90s. So I was a bit, I was about 14, 15. And I'd still buy the Hasbro's just to put up as like ornaments, if you know what I mean, just as shrines to your, your favorite things. I wouldn't play with them; it was just always there. And same with autographs. I always used to collect autographs, and we'll go to what I collect now with, because it's my other hobby. But if I did start with anything, I've got this down. I showed this on another stream the other day. I used to, when I was a kid. I saw Star Wars on VHS in about 1980 or 81, when it first came out. And I remember seeing it, and it changed everything when I was a kid. I remember seeing, really cliche, that time the ship goes over the, Leia's ship, the Tantive 4, whatever it's called. And I remember seeing Stormtroopers for the first time and everything. And I remember watching it on video, and I watched it about 6 times before it had to go back for the rental. Yeah. And I think that it was after Empire. So it was after 1980, because I remember I had and users would know on here, I remember I only knew the Empire story because I had the tape that you'd put in, and you'd have a book, and R2-D2 you'd read along with it, and then R2-D2 would make a sound and you turn the page, because it was only 5 or 6.
Yeah. That sounds vaguely familiar.
And I'll tell you what, find it on YouTube. It's amazing. They're on YouTube, and it brings so much back, because it's obviously someone making the noise that, the Vader, set your course for Hoth and all that sort of stuff. It's all like, And I remember, and that really, it was like, oh my God, and then you found out Luke's father, and Luke, and all that sort of stuff after watching it. So I'd not seen anything in the cinema, but around that time, probably about 1980, 81, I got into Kenner, the Star Wars figures. I remember seeing it, and I've still got my first one, which is there, Han Solo. Bespin. Yeah, you can still see. Look, it's all been played with. Look, it's all.
And is that like one from like Empire or something, or?
Empire, yeah.
And so that's like an original, like say 1980.
That's 1980 or 81, depending on when it came out.
Yeah.
They took a little while to come out, didn't they?
Yeah.
But it's still got that. And do you know what? Well, people are going to call me crazy. I sold all my old stuff.
Yeah.
A few years ago, and this is the other thing I'll talk about with collecting is to fund Hot Toys. I didn't get loads for it because it's a bit battered. But I'm one of those people now. I used to be a little bit more of a hoarder with stuff in the loft, just whack it in the loft. But now I'm more, if it's in the loft and it's not being played with, sell it, because this stuff behind me I'd rather invest in. Do you understand? Do you know what I mean?
I get you.
I like. I'm getting older now. I'd rather have it. The loft used to be like a. Oh my God! I have Simpson figures and X-Files figures and loads of stuff that I'd collect at. You know,
and the loft. If you keep doing that, you think it's only a few figures, but that fills up quicker. Than you think.
With
and then
boxes.
If you got kids as well, and they've got their old toys, and you're like, oh my God, that's their first. Whatever, you're like, I don't want to throw that out, and there's that sentimental thing as well. They might want it back, and it fills up.
But
So
I should have been. A lot of people said because I'm a DJ as well, so I'm an electronic music DJ, and I sold all my vinyl, digitalized it to have more space for this stuff. And some people call it blasphemous and all that, but I embraced the electronic. I use record box and USBs when I DJ and stuff like that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And I like to have a clean slate room now. I don't like clutter. I think I've got more OCD as I've got older. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, you're speaking my language, man. Like, I can't
like
deal
it.
with the clutter.
Once I always find once I have my hot toy and unbox it, I put all the things in the accessories in a thing underneath the drawers here, and then that box is in the loft. That's gone. Yeah. There's no clutter here. It's all nice and
there is something very therapeutic about that, because we all, like you said, like you have to put the dad hat on, like, and then you have work as well, like that, and we all, like, no matter what you're working at, like, have responsibilities, and that can tire you out, and it can be potentially stressful. And it's nice coming into your own little area of the house where it's like just your stuff you're passionate about and arranged the way you want, and that kind of, the rest of the life could be chaos, but you have one room where it's like, this is organized, like it's therapeutic.
So this is my office, and so like I said, I'm a photographer, so I edit here. I've got a Mac here. I'm on my MacBook Pro, and then over here I've got my DJ setup there. So I'm trying to keep all my things that I do in one place.
Yeah.
And even now I'm sort of thinking about, do I need I don't go on my DJ setup as much because I just don't need to. I don't practice as much as I should do really anymore. I don't really practice anyway. But and then I'm thinking, do I get more module cases here? I'm going to put another one up there because if you can see here, I've got and if I get out of the way, I've got the Bestas.
You've got a riser,
like the Kia Bestas on there. So I might.
I have a question for you. Sorry, I have a question for you there. If I was getting module cases, I'd need them risen up. So you're a man after my own heart there.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is, first of all, what type of module cases are they?
They are the 165, so they're the longest 1/6 ones.
Right. So do you have like three of them, or do you have six in total? I can't see if there's a divider behind you.
Let me take the mic away.
Gotcha.
2 secs, and then
I'll put your full screen there.
There you go. Look.
I see.
So they're 165s. Ignore the bottom shelf. It's work in progress.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You've got space.
Yeah, and on the top you'd have space, but the only problem is that it would be a little bit of a like you'd have to sorry,
get the step ladder out every time.
But what I would probably do, that's fine as long as I can see it. What I would probably do for that is put my trooper collection up there. So just have all troopers, so it'd all be thing. It would be a little bit higher, but I really like that there's they're raised, because then the bottom shelf I can see, instead of, because I used to have DTOFs on the floor, and I always put your worst figures on the bottom. I don't know about you, because you can't see it, and I don't want to do that.
That's the same thing as me. I didn't want them on the floor, because then you kind of you lose out. The bottom shelf is almost disrespectful. But if you have a riser, there is no bottom shelf. I know you could still argue that the bottom shelf is still the bottom shelf, but they're risen up, so they give them a bit more respect, and you're able to see them better. I
think also as well with the risers as well is that I've actually done a video on my channel what they are, which is IKEA Bestas. They're just the TV stand, and they're really good because they've got drawers. So obviously I've got all the accessories.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me show you here. So I keep all my accessories in these. So everyone's got each bag like a sandwich bag or whatever, and it's all got fins, and things like that. So, like I say, I like to keep it all organised and everything, and I've got like the cleaning things down there and all that sort of stuff and that. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
I do something similar. I've got one of those tackle boxes, but it's a game changer because I put the boxes above as well. And
Yeah,
I was like, every time I wanted to repose, then I was like, okay, where is that box? And typically when I went up, you see, I've got the art boxes in these massive IKEA boxes. They stack. So it's like every time it felt like every time I wanted like to get like, a helmet out or a blast or whatever, it was always on the bottom box.
yeah, yeah.
So now I've got all the accessories are the ones that I repose the most in the little tackle boxes. I'm just going to address some of these chats because I'm falling behind here. So I used to collect back in 2007, 2012. Life went south and lost everything. Very sorry to hear that. Told myself I wouldn't collect again. Come 2020, went and bought one, and now I'm good. I'm glad you're back. Life has its ups and downs, but I'm glad you're back. Good stuff.
Can I just address that quickly, Shane? Is there was a time in COVID that was pretty crap for creatives like myself that couldn't work, and if you're in that stage and you do feel like you have to sell stuff, you can always buy them back, mate. Don't worry, don't think, I've had a few friends that are like, oh, I'm going to sell, I'm never going to come back with this. It's your family and your life and all the other stuff that is far more important than what's behind us.
Facts, yeah.
If you know what I mean. That's what I'm saying is that you can always buy them back, especially in this market. It's half its price as well at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So I just say to people that, these aren't, everything. They're bits of plastic at the end of the day.
They're part of your life, they're not your life. Do you know?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Question for you then. Could you ask Dan how often he reposes his figures?
Do you know what? It's weird. I always like to repose them when I get a new figure in. So it's like, and that's when I do a little. The Moji case has been amazing actually for dust. So the only thing I would say about Moji cases is that I'm constantly doing them at Karate Kids, wax on, wax off, because they're quite. The outside is quite dusty. Which is fine. I've got a spray that Moji case said, but. Do you know what? Some have been in the same poses forever because it's just what I like, and others change. And I always find that sometimes with reposing is that if you haven't got any pre-orders coming in, and I went through a stage of that. Even now, I don't get that much at the moment. Have a little repose, and it feels like you've got a new figure. It does, it really does. You feel you come away going, oh my god, that looks amazing.
Or even just take everything out and
and reorganize it to different places.
I find that extremely therapeutic. Maybe every few months, sometimes I'll just repose a figure or two. I'll look at something and I'll go, nah, I'm sick of that pose now, and I'll repose. And it's so handy now because I've got all the accessories right here. But other times I'll be like, all right, they're getting a bit dusty. I'll take everything out. Might be maybe once every 3 to 6 months. They don't actually get as dusty as people make fun of me about it. But I'll take all the stuff out. I'll put on a podcast or put on some music, have a beer, and just repose.
I'm exactly the same, mate. Exactly the same. Probably, or like I say, if you're on or Lael or one of the Will's show or something like that, I'll put up in the background for a bit of inspiration. And stuff like that. Not inspiration, but just you feel like you're in your bubble.
You're in the zone.
Yeah.
I find sometimes even I used to going back over 10 years ago. I used to run marathons. So
oh wow.
I go out in the morning, and sometimes your long run coming up to marathon could be 16, 18, 20 miles. And I didn't use music running at the time. I don't know why. I don't think if I was doing it again, I would definitely use music. But I just found if you'd anything bothering you or anything annoying you, by the end of the run, you mightn't have the answer, but you'd be like, okay, I know how I'm going to address that. I know what action I'm going to take about that.
I think exercise got a massive thing to help anything.
100%, 100%.
Completely, yeah.
And even I find sometimes if I'm, I don't know, a Friday evening, I'm working through things maybe stuff happening in life or work or something like that. I'll be posing away and be thinking, all right, yeah. And then you're not really conscious thinking about. You're thinking about doing your pose, and you're doing something with your collection, and you have music on the background or a stream, whatever. But then often you feel better after, kind of going, you know what? Actually, this is what I could do to solve that problem, whatever, without even thinking about it. It's kind of ticking away in the background almost. And we got Ryan here from Mr. Mom's Collectibles. Great to see you, man. Thanks very much for tuning in. And we also have Commander Green is here as well. How are you, Commander Green, from New York, I believe? So we've addressed the past, so you bought the first one. Basically, it was a Hong Kong reseller. When was that, roughly? What year was that?
It's got to be 2009, 9, 10 or 11, I think. I think it's
Yeah.
probably 10, I think. I think it was around then, 2010.
That's interesting because yesterday I had Blue Tattoo on, and he's a veteran collector. He got his first, I think, 2014. So he's nearly coming up on 10 years.
Right.
And then you are, you know, even more than that. You're coming up in probably about 15 years. So you're two back-to-back veterans, which is great. So we're going to move on to the present now. And I have a few a few leading questions just to kind of, you know, give you an idea of what kind of things you could talk about. I'm sure you have plenty to say, but we have I'm going to go to the bank on this one. I usually just jot down a few things before coming up. So, right, we got rid of that one. Okay. Okay, I like this question. What's the number one figure that Hot Toys have released in the past that you do not have, that you want, but you don't think they will reissue? That's a bit of a mouthful. So the number one figure Hot Toys they've released in the past, they've done it in the past, you don't have it in your collection, you do want it, but you don't think it'll come again.
Oh man, do you know what's mad is that I'm one of those people that have had loads of figures in the past. If you name it, I've had it. If you know what I mean. Because before I went to Star Wars, mostly Star Wars, I had a lot of stuff, you know. So I went Marvel, Back to the Future. I had all the Blitzway Ghostbusters. I've had loads. It's really hard to say that because I don't know if there is anything that I'd want that I've not had. If you know what I mean. Because, you know, I've had the Jokers. I've had all the Jokers. I didn't get the DX01, but I had the bank robber Joker back in the day. I've had the DX12. I've got the DX19 now. I've had all three Ben Afflecks and sold them. I've had all the Cavill Superman. Oh, it's really weird. I don't know.
You're a wheeler dealer, man.
I am, but
you find that that's helped you realize what's important to you and what direction or lane you want to stay
100%. My problem is, and I'll give you an example. I've literally just sold, like the bottom shelf that I showed you earlier. I've literally just sold Justice League Superman, Justice League Batman, the normal version with the Affleck head, and the Batman Forever Batman, because I had a little Batman when I ordered the Joker, and I've got my DX19 and went, I'm going to go all Batman. I'm going all Batman. And apart from Star Wars, which has always been there, I'm one of those people now look and go, oh, that Luke Bespin's coming out soon. I need to sell, because I'm one of those that likes to sell to buy. I don't, it's quite hard. You know,
you use your collection to fund your collection. Like
I do. Sometimes you can't do that because I've got maybe 40 figures, so you have had to buy them in the past. But for example, like the Joker that's come in, the in-arts rooted Joker, I said to you yesterday, I'm selling, as a lot of people will be, the jail cell Dio, the second figure, the hands, and the other head, because I can talk about, I only have one figure per character, even with Star Wars. So I've only got one Leia, one Luke, which is coming, one Vader, you know. Troopers are the only exception. This is in Star Wars. That's my rule in Star Wars. So obviously all the troopers are slightly different, but, you know, I've only got one character. You know, I haven't got two Obi-Wans and, you know, and things like that. You know, I haven't got like an old Guinness and a young, you know, a Ewan.
And I love this because you've been doing this since 2009, and you've bought and sold. And like, I presume I'm not, but I may correct it if I'm wrong, but you probably made a few mistakes along the way and learned from them, because massively. Like, we all do. Yeah. But I look at people like you now, because like I got, my first two were MMS 67 and 68. Dark Knight came out in 2009, so I must have got them Dark Knight came out in 2008. I'm not going to fucking allow myself to make that mistake. So the figures must have come out in 2009, 2010, but then I took a big gap and re-engaged on 2017. But like, when I kind of think about doing things differently, or like you seem to be thinking sustainably, as in towards the future, to keep, you want to stay in the hobby. Like you seem like a lifer, you know, and I'm like that. But I often think, okay, what would you do if you wanted to keep in the hobby, but you're running out of space, whatever? And I think that's one thing I would do. Go, right, you can only have one version of each character, and you have to pick your favorite Iron Man or pick your favorite Batman. Or the troopers might be the first to go. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm a trooper collector, and that's one of
Well,
my weakness. That's my
I'm
Achilles heel.
also I'm a 50. I'm in the 501st, which I talked to you about as well. Because
You did, yeah.
yeah. So I've got a full armor as well.
1 second.
Which is, yeah.
Now,
Yeah, man.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Can you see anything out of these? Because I can see very little.
Hang on, let me get mine. Hang on.
Do you know what? We'll both put them on because then if someone tunes in, they'll be like, "What the hell are these two donkeys doing?" Like,
with this, these are what hanging down because these are my. If you can't see in there, I've sort of had.
well, I can't see anything now.
I've had mine. These here are the fans because when I go trooping, I mean I haven't been since before COVID. So I've got fans in here, and I've got one of the mics. You know, you can wear the mic with the click sound and everything.
Yeah.
So I've got one of those. But yeah, like that. So we've made it a little bit. All the paddings come out there. Yeah, you can't see anything, man. You can't.
So it's not just me.
No. It's awful.
And did you I went Shepperton Studios for mine. Did you get yours custom?
RS. No, RS Prop Masters.
Gotcha.
So I did mine with RS, which it was my 40th birthday present to myself. So I bought the full armor. Now my big is coming up, and well, in a few.
I find
years,
that hard to believe. You're looking fresh, but go on.
My big 50's coming up in a few years, so I might get the Scout Trooper because you can sit down in that.
Oh right,
yeah. You can have a laugh in it. It's a bit more sort of restrictive.
So again, I have questions, right? Because I love wearing the armor, but like putting it on is a bit of a chore. And like I've kind of have I'm learning. I only got it like in the last year, and I noticed I have to have like once I put the bottom half on, I can't touch my toes, so I need to have all the top stuff on a higher layer to put it on. And then if I'm wearing it like at 9 o'clock in the morning for something, I will not drink fluids. I will stop drinking fluids at like 6 p.m. the previous day because if you need to go to the bathroom, you need to take everything off, like, and it's just a hassle. And I can't. I see very little out of the eyes, but you just get used to it. But do you find your one? Does your one chafe a bit in certain parts and stuff like that?
Look, it's not just you; they're uncomfortable. You can make them comfortable with things, but they're, with me when I've done troops, because I've done like MGM with the UK Garrison and the MG one in Birmingham and London and all that, and it's such a good laugh. We're the guys that get you to do that on the floor and all that. Like at Celebration, the guys were at Celebration. I haven't been for a little while since, like I said, before COVID, so I need to do it soon, or I'm going to lose my membership because you have to do it within 2 years. Keep doing
right.
So we have to do that, but it's such a buzz, but it's so uncomfortable. You can't see anything. You have to be helped. If something's wrong with the UK Garrison is we can't take our helmets off in public. So if something's wrong, I remember my contact lens came out or something
no.
And I was like, oh my God. And I went, and you have to say to one of the helpers, I need to go. And then they take them up and you take it off upstairs. But it's so uncomfortable, but it's such a laugh. I love it because no one knows it's you. I put on an American accent, come an idiot, like move along and all that. It's just fun.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's something I always wanted. And if I had room, I'd probably put it on a mannequin, but I'll just put the helmet up there for now. And I'll look at getting a Scout, because Scout Trooper was really my guy, my trooper, if you know what I mean. It was my favourite figure from Return, one of my favourite Kenners. So I'd like to get that. I mean, and
Scout Trooper is very popular. It's a lot of people, especially like kind of around like say our vintage. Even if you split the difference in around like 40 or 50 or whatever, like people who watched Star Wars when they were kids, like Scout Trooper is it's a fan favorite, really, isn't it? Like it
is. But the one thing I would say about when you do go trooping is that everyone goes towards the stormtroopers and the Vader. That's the first thing everyone goes towards, like public for photos. Stormtrooper and Vader. They're the two. If you were a Scout Trooper, they wouldn't. It's not. They. The ones. They're most iconic, aren't they? For anything for Star Wars. So, you've got the most iconic outfit. I love it, man. It's great. Yeah. But I need to get back into it.
Yeah, I do love that. I do love it, and it's kind of like I work in a school, and once a year like the Friday before the Halloween break, like it's everyone dresses up. Like staff, students, everything. It's come like, it was like 900 students, like, and then like for 50 staff, like, so it was cool getting to wear it like to school. But like I was saying that I
Did you
needed
go up the stairs?
you know what? I've actually stairs.
You can do stairs. You can do stairs. but it's-
Once there's a handrail, like I just take my time, like. But I do find like you kind of you the more you walk on it, you kind of realize what you can do and can't do, and you do get a bit better, like, you know. But
that's
things,
right. You're right. I mean, I can put it all on now on my own. Where before,
same.
I'd be like, oh my god, my wife would be helping me, or
Yeah.
you know, the first time we got it, because there was 4 of us that got them all at the same time. We did a big payment plan, and we all came around my house and we all tried it on. And the photos, when you look at them, it's awful because there's things back to front and everything. You know, it looks so funny, but it was. I can put it all on now. I can do it. I haven't done it for a little while actually. I need to do it.
Need to practice.
Yeah, it is
the first
fun,
time
man.
I put one on. Now the first time, the thing is, it was silly. I didn't do the smart thing of like unbox it and wrap off all the plastic and then get all the parts and organize and then go for it. I was like putting it on, and as I was unwrapping, so I'd be like putting it on, I'd be like, all right, here are the parts for the biceps. So let me just take off all this. It took me about 45 minutes and I was sweating and everything. But then the second time I was like, right, you need to organize this. The top half put up higher, and you know, just put on this first.
There's
it makes
some
more
good
sense.
YouTube videos as well that help you.
Yeah,
they do that. So I would never do that, but there's always a YouTube video which really helps. And but yeah, Shane, it's a laugh, man. And I mean, when you get it on, you look in the mirror and you go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing!" You know, that's the thing I love about it.
It's a piece of history, like it's like you're in a piece of cinematic history, like and it looks like you put them into. I'm sure it's the same with the two of ours. You put them into like a Rogue One or whatever, and it's like no one's gonna be like, yeah, that looks out of place, like, because they just look so good.
The only thing that I do say is that how the hell did the stuntmen work in these? It must have been a nightmare because they couldn't see anything.
Yeah,
that's what I bet. You know, and they're all falling away. I bet there was everything got battered. Like, that's why there's probably hardly anything left that you see. They were
getting paid, so they did it. I'd say it was kind of thing. Just got on with it, like well, it explains why the dude bumped his head anyway. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course.
So we're up to. After an absolutely beautiful Star Wars conversation, we're up to the present. So, so like, I'm going to ask again a few leading questions, kind of like things you might want to address or not, like things. I'll just rattle them all off, and you can just pick and choose, and you take whatever direction. But like, first of all, like, you know, do you know how many figures you have? Do you collect exclusively licensed Hot Toys? Do you have any quarter scale? Do you have any third parties? Do you have any statues? Obviously, you're using Modu Case display, and it looks beautiful. But like, where you are now, are you exclusively Hot Toys Star Wars? Do you have like a bunch of different things, or would you mess with third parties?
Well, when you talk about quarter scale and everything, I've had them all. So there's a video on my channel again, which I said is my past, because when I'm only quite new to doing my channel, and I just went through all my old iPhone pictures and all that. It was like from 10 years, 15 years, and I've done a video going through all my collection, and you'd think I'm mental because I've just been through everything, you know. So it'd be lovely if someone can look at that and give me some feedback, because it's literally, I've had all I had the Enterbay Joker, the Enterbay Rambo, this is quarter scale, Enterbay Terminator Battle Damage, the T1000 Enterbay, the Rambo, the Batman. That was, and then I had my quarter scale phase, and then I went, oh, there's nothing coming out of quarter scale, so I want to sell all that again, because I only had 3 DTOFs at the time, so I had all those, those DTOF shell things that you can make higher and lower and all that to fit them in. And then I had no room for 6 scale, and then third party figures. Well, again, I was massively into custom figures. I went for a stage, again, I've done a video on my thing. I went for a stage in the early teens, 2011, 12, of like TV figures. So Dexter, Mad Men, Don Draper, what else did I have? Nucky Thompson from Boardwalk Empire. These are all like proper young seal run, thing. The 2 figures that were my favourite is, I don't know if you've ever seen True Detective. So season 1 of True Detective of
that season 1 is the season.
It's my favourite TV show of all time, as in drama.
Yeah.
And I had the Russ Cole and Marty Hart, like Yunsil.
Yeah.
I sold them each for £1,500 each. I sold them for
Wow.
in the end. Yeah, someone offered me crazy money because
Yeah.
the run was
So are
like
these
20.
like the customs that, like, you know, the run might be like
Yeah,
100
yeah.
or 10 or something like that? And
Yeah,
gotcha.
they were really short.
Who was the other actor? I remember watching both seasons.
McConaughey
I
and
remember
Woody
season
Harrelson.
2. Say again?
Woody Harrelson and McConaughey was season 1. That was all I went for.
And
Season
Vince
2 was
Vaughn
Vince
was
Vaughn
season
and who the Irish guy you should know.
Colin Farrell.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rachel
there was a
McAdams.
There was a girl as well.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
It was, and it wasn't very good. But season 1 even gives me tingles now because it's amazing. It's
a great show.
It's a masterpiece. And I had Russ Hart and Marty on a Youngsall run, and I don't know if you've heard of a painter called Jacob Rainmere. He's one of the best in the world. Like, find him on Instagram.
Actually, I think I have this guy on Instagram. Call that out again.
Jacob Rainmere.
Is that his Instagram handle?
Yeah, he's a painter. He's one of the best in the world, in my opinion. And he painted a lot of these for me. And he did, if you've seen True Detective, this is, again, in my video.
I know the guy, yeah. Brilliant.
I had one figure that was, it's the only one, I've sold loads, as I've told you in this video, bought and sold. The only figure that I really regret selling was, if you've seen True Detective, I had both the young versions of Marty and Russ, but then I had a one-off. It was Jacob made the figure for me because he did one-off. There was a small run of head sculpt of Matthew McConaughey, the old version with the goatee and the long grey hair, you know, when he's playing with his can and all that and having the interview, you know. And I had a figure of that, and it is the figure I regret selling. I got someone offered me £1,500 for it again.
That's like this is a niche hobby.
These are because Jacob made one. And then I said to him, mate, please, can you make it for me? And he said, these are the parts you need. You need to get, I don't know, it was like the third party kit of Tom Cruise. So then you can buy the shirt and all that. You know, these are, and like these the jeans I got from eBay and all that, and the boots you need to weather.
And you had to, did you have to buy that and then send it to him?
And I sent it to him, and he did it for me, and he did it. And
because it's a niche hobby. Like, if you think about it, 6 scale is a niche.
Yeah.
And then
this
third
was even
party
more niche,
is a niche with a niche. And then custom is like a niche with a niche with a niche, which means it's supply and demand. There's a tiny amount of those being made, so therefore there's a lot of
they're
expensive,
proper pieces of art. And I mean, the like I say, I had Nucky Thompson, which, have you seen Boardwalk Empire? Did you ever see that?
I've never watched Boardwalk
Empire. It's all like the 1920s, so the clothing was made stunning. Do you know what I mean? So it's that. I had the Indiana Jones, Yuntsel, leather, and all the things that, I mean, we're talking $500 runs.
Wow.
For like, it got to the stage where you'd put a deposit down, and then like a year or 18 months time, you'd get like, a thing, everyone's got to pay their $400 for this like clothing run. But it was just the way it is, because it was all that TV. It was a TV time, and the indie was the only other thing I did. But I had all the TV stuff like that with the True Detective. But then people kept offering me, because we put them on the, Facebook and the sites, and then you'd have someone go, "Dude, I'll give you £1,500 for it." And I'm thinking, it's probably cost me 600, 700 with the paint job as well. I'm thinking, that's how many Hot Toys is that? It's like, so I sold all that. So that's gone. That's the past. But I do regret the Russ Cole one. That's the thing that.
That's the True Detective one.
Yeah.
I need to go back and watch True Detective, because I remember the first season I loved, and the second season didn't really land for me.
The third season was with the guy who's the new Blade.
Is it Mahershala Ali or something like that?
So that was good, but the fourth season's just about to come out. It's got Jodie Foster in, and it looks wicked. It looks really dark, and I didn't realize
I didn't even think there was more than 2 seasons.
No, the third one's with that guy, and the fourth one is just about to drop.
Yeah, because something popped. Usually when I love a TV show, I'll keep tabs on it, and just count the days down. One of my favorite TV shows, I actually think it's the best thing I ever watched on Netflix, Black Mirror. I just think that's a banger.
Few of those, yeah.
Banger, man. Oh God. I'd recommend that to everyone. Go back and watch from the very start.
I saw the one I did see was with the Prime Minister that had to.
The thing about that is they're an anthology, so every single episode is different, and they're all completely different, but they all have some sort of like the dark side. It's almost like predicting the very dark side of social media and the internet, what it can do to society. The very, very first one, there's a lot of shock factor.
Yeah.
And I recommended it to a guy I work with. And he went away and watched it. This is like a few years ago, not in the place I'm working now. And he came in and said, I watched that with my fiance. I was like, that's not my problem. But it's bloody good TV. But they're doing another season. And I thought, did I miss something? It said it was season 5, and I was like, I thought it was 3 seasons. But no, I went back and I have actually watched them all. But it's just,
I think with TV though, Shane, what I was saying to you is that I collect autographs, which I'll talk about quickly in a minute. I think if you collect movies, they're long lasting. They're always there. I think if you collect TV stuff, they have a shelf life. I think because they just disappear. Apart, you know, I had a few of the Walking Dead figures and when I did my TV thing, and the Game of Thrones. But once it's not on air anymore and it's just disappeared, you lose that interest. That's why I sold everything, because of like, where with Star Wars or Marvel or classic movies, they're always there. Do you understand what I mean? It's a bit, it's for me, it was like that. Once the buzz had gone, the hype and you're not good. I find TV shows quite hard to rewatch, isn't it? You just very rare you rewatch thing. But one thing, again, this is going off slight topic, is in lockdown I got into The American Office. I've never seen it before.
Right. And I'm a big Ricky Gervais fan and The English Office, but I've never seen an episode of The American.
Right. So the first season of The American Office is quite hard work to get into. Yeah. And the second season, from there, and even when the later seasons, I absolutely loved it. It's now my favourite comedy, US comedy of all time. So I started collecting these in lockdown, and now I've got probably about 14, 15 of them. And I never thought I'd collect these as well, so don't think. So I collect the pops, which are signed by the star of The Office.
Ah, I see.
They're all. So I've got. I've got 14, 15 of them. So I've got Rainn Wilson and all that sort of stuff. So I've got into that. That's another off hobby of mine, which but to be honest,
did you say they were autographed?
Yeah.
And how did you get them autographed? Did you buy them autographed?
I'm in a group I'm in a group on. Well, obviously there's I'm in loads of autograph groups online. But I mean, there's a group on Facebook and a thing called the Office Pops, and they do signings. So like that,
right?
And Rainn Wilson, they're all signed. Pam Beasley, thing and all that. So,
and are they when they're signed? Like, are they signed by like a witness who?
Yeah, you get. They're all like JSA and all that sort of stuff. But one thing, because this is more about the present as well. So with lockdown as well. I didn't really buy a lot of figures in lockdown. And also around just after we came out of lockdown, I ordered my module cases. So I sold all my DTOFs and put everything in boxes. And I had a year off of collecting one sit because I just didn't, what's the point of buying it? Unless it was a deal when I was like, I get it, I'll pick them up later. So I had a year off, and I'm not going to lie, I sold Tarkin in that time, Krennic, because people, I just want, Yeah. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. Again,
you've made your peace with it.
You can still get them. You have to pay a little bit more, but So I sold
Chase figures.
Figures. And I sold them.
Bit more expensive.
I needed a bit of cash. But what I got into, I was just talking about it earlier, is that I got back into WWE because I was at home and I subscribed to the network. It was dreadful over lockdown, so it was a lot of the older stuff because there was no crowd. Obviously. Yeah. So I got into that and I started collecting autographed WWE figures, and it's gone quite mad now. So I've got probably about 60 up here, all autographed. I've got some examples. So I do. So that's like Hollywood Hogan. So I only collect. I know we're off piece here, sort of thing.
No, it's grand. It's again. This what makes the episodes different. to
Yeah.
someone
So
else's
I
episode,
collect the Ultimate line, all Mattel, not Hasbro. So I
so
don't
they're all
collect the
WWE.
This is all the new stuff. So I collect the Ultimate line, which is these sort of lines. So some people might know what they are. But my main sort of goal is the Legends line, because it's all the older stuff. So as Undertaker, you know, so it's all like this line. So it's all like the old school. I love the artwork and all that sort of stuff. So I've got.
And when you say the old line, is that like back to the days in the 90s with the Legion of Doom, Bret Hitman Hart and stuff like that?
This is Demolition. I don't know if you remember Demolition.
Yeah.
So this is thing. So the problem is these figures are actually bloody expensive to buy. This was 150 quid before getting signed.
Right.
They're quite rare. So I'm trying to collect all the old ones.
And you have like Dink and Doink and all them.
Well, the original Donk died, so you have to get the other. That's the only other problem as well. They all die. They're all dying early. So I got these. I've got these. Sorry,
it's all the steroids, man.
I just want to show you these. So unfortunately, last year we lost Scott Hall, who was Razor Ramon. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah.
Luckily for me, which is an awful thing to say, I managed to get him to sign these before a few months before he passed, because this was one of his new ones.
Right.
So I've got that, and then Razor, he signed that as well. So yeah, this is. Do you know what, mate? It's really good because I'm so sort of focused with Star Wars mostly. There's only so much that I really want. So you know, like if a Marvel comes out, I'm like, oh, I like Marvel, you know, but I don't want to do that. So this is my other focus. So I'm like looking at other stuff to.
And with them, do you have them on a shelf, or would you consider, like I've seen a lot of people with the carded 3 3/4 inch, they measure out like all these little like pins and the hooks, and they put them on. I think that's really cool.
They're all in. Can you see? They're all like
I see. I got you. Yeah.
A little bit there.
Yeah.
They're all along there.
Yeah, like and you've got their IKEA lacks, aren't they, those shelves?
Yeah, they're pretty good actually, aren't they?
I've got a few of the smaller ones. Yeah, for floating shelves, like.
But mate, I mean, like I said, I've got back into that, and it's a bit of fun, you know. I like, and now I'm sort of up to date on the stuff I've got, like the newer ones. So I'm just sort of, as the new wave comes out, I get them signed. But there's a few of the older ones that people have passed that I'm looking to try, but we're talking.
It's funny, nothing like a debt to boost the price of a character, or especially an autograph. I'm just going to address some of these chats here before we move on to the present. So, Bearded Nerdy Oaf, I've just taken a note of that username. I might reach out to them on Instagram, seeing if they're interested in coming on and doing an episode of Visions. Thanks for the recommendation. So we've got Julie is a man after my own heart. I can only handle one niche for now, 100%. I like to stay. That's one bit of advice. Especially new collectors. If new collectors are here, I tend not to give advice on my channel. I tend to just go, look, this works for me. If you take anything out of that, if you want to do something like that, fair enough. Like, I don't like to give direct advice, but like I do like kind of go, look, this is what I've learned, take it or leave it. But one thing I would say is that rule out lines you don't like.
Yeah,
like just 100%. Like you're going to see a lot of stuff that looks cool. Like I ruled out the sequels because I've no interest in them. I think they were a dumpster fire. No offense to anyone who loves them. I've ruled out the Clone Wars, even though I'm watching it. Even if I love it, I'm sure I'm going to love Ahsoka's story arc. I've ruled it out. I'm not a gamer, so it makes it easier to rule out those Spider-Man games, stuff like that. And it just simplifies things for me personally. But anyway, I'll go on and have a look at this.
Shane, can I just address that as well? That it takes a while to do that.
Yeah,
it does it. It's not overnight. I've been talking. I've been through everything, but don't get me wrong. I think since getting the module spaces, Star Wars is always going to be there. But I've got the bottom shelf now where I've got Michael Myers because I'm a bit of a horror fan, and obviously got the Joker and Batman. That is going to be my mad. That's my. I throw it. I won't go Marvel because obviously if I start with Marvel, it then goes thing. But with DC and a bit of like, might get Peacemaker because it's John Cena. Yeah, I might get RoboCop to go in there, you know, so it's all
the kind of one-offs.
I tell you what I have ordered is I watched Scarface the other day, and there's that I can't remember.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. It's a third party, is it? Or it's not third party.
Oh, whatever. I can't remember what it is, but I got because I used to have the Enterbase back in the day, so I've ordered that to go there. That'll go on the bottom shelf with the Myers. So that, you know, you try and have it's really weird because the main one thing I would say is don't get into the hype, because obviously when the Flash comes out, everyone's going to go, right, DC, Batman, I want the Flash, I want all that, sort of thing like that. And then that's gone, and then you're like, oh God, I'll sell that, which I've done it. I've just done it with all the Batmans, if you know what I mean.
And it takes a bit of a while in the game to do that. And I think maybe because when I was a kid, or maybe about 15 teenagers, I definitely collected a lot of 3 3/4 inch, and then I'd find random things like I've got a beautiful die-cast Oshima alien dropship from Aliens, which I still have, but a lot of stuff I've sold all my 3 3/4 inch because I realized, okay, you're not going to be able to have all these. And to display them, I could put them up on the wall, but it's not what I'm looking for. And Hot Toys going to scratch that itch, so I'm just going to burrow through the rest of these. Shane, I'm just reading your shirt. I need that, bro. I've linked it for you. It's actually not mine. It's a 6-scale Scavengers shirt. Action figures, not dolls. They're still available on their site, so I have linked it down below if you're interested. FBJ, what's good, everyone? Great to see you. Thank you for being here and watching. Austin Nicholas in the house. He's got his own YouTube channel, folks. So maybe you consider liking and subscribing to his YouTube channel as well. I think everyone collects pops at some point. Yeah, I know you've a lot of pops as well. I think, or at least you definitely used to.
Only signed.
Yeah, only signed.
I've got room for anything else.
I collect Funko too, slower than I used to. Okay, fair enough. Hey Empire, doing good, just woke up, blessed to see this live stream, about to make breakfast, good stuff. Who else do we have there? I have many, were tempted, didn't pull the trigger. We were talking about the pops there, just kind of going through and seeing. We got, is it Roan Ongsing? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not, apologies. Good stream, watching from the Philippines, that's pretty cool. Payden23, channel member. Collector Joey, channel member. We need to get you on an episode of Visions. We're going to make it happen. We got to make it happen, Joey. And just going to file them through here if there's any questions or anything like that. Any questions?
I'm just going to show something else.
And Austin Nicholas says, Dan in Carbonite, a horror fan, question mark. I'm absolutely in love with him. You got a fan there. And that brings us up to date. And truly big ups for the link, Shane. No problem. 6-scale Scavengers have absolutely some great t-shirts. Check them out. I got I think I got 4 of them, because I got 2 that say Dopo on them. One that says action figures, not dolls. And the other one, it says day 1 pre-order, the full phrase. But and they're nice fits as well. Like, they're just, I like them anyway. It's handy for streaming and stuff. So
I was just going to show you one more thing, because
no problem.
My favourite film ever, apart from Empire Strikes Back, is Jaws. I'm a massive Jaws fan. I've had I don't know if anyone knows, the Shark City Ozark do a 1/6 Jaws Bruce bust, which I've had and sold, and I might get that back actually.
I like Sideshow, man.
Have a look at my video, man. Yeah, have a look at my video on there. I've had loads of stuff. But that's one of my, if anyone says what the figures you want, is the 3 Jaws cast, because it's the old, Brody, Hooper and Quint. I know Big Chief were looking at doing them. That's just done the Doctor Who, and they did the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, I've seen the Peaky Blinders ones.
They look good. I saw D Knight's thing on that. But the problem is with the Jaws license is that Roy Scheider's wife won't give the license over. It's all right for pops, but that's why there wasn't a NECA Roy Scheider of Chief Brody. Because she won't give out the license, so she's the Courtney Love of the collecting community. So, so you never know what happens when she passes. But one of the other main things is for me is with autographs is I'm a Jaws autographs collector. Steven Spielberg.
Wow, you've got the director's.
I've got Richard Dreyfuss. I met Richard Dreyfuss a few times.
Very cool.
I'll just show these quick, just a thing. So, but I've gone quite in deep with them. So I've got
very cool.
The thing, Hendrix.
Is this a Jaws photography book then? Is it?
No, they're all autographed.
Oh, right. But so it's just like it's an album you have, like.
Yeah. It's things. So I've got Meadows. I've got the woman that stouted Shark on the.
Class.
I've got little Sean Brody. I'm going to do a video on this. I've got like the stuntman that was the
Yeah.
And I've got Cassidy, who's talking about. Look,
I need to rewatch Jaws. It's
I've
been years since I've seen it.
Oh mate, it's my favourite film, and I've gone
Yeah.
I've gone balls deep on that. But obviously, Robert Shaw and Roy Scheider are mega money, so I just want to. The only thing with those sort of things is that I can't see them.
Yeah.
They're in a book. So
Yeah.
I want to keep the Jaws stuff. I did start collecting other stuff, but it got to the point where I can't see it. That's why the pops, the autographs, and the figures is something that I can always look at.
Yeah, like it's
know
it's
what I mean?
nice walking into the collection because a lot of time, like, I had stuff. That's one of the reasons why I knew I was in a different ball game when I got MMS 67, 68, and let's face it, they're very, very old, but at the time they were beautiful. I knew, like, okay, this is different. The detail in these is so much better than any Hasbro or anything that I'd seen before.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was finishing up in college, and even like, I hadn't got a permanent teaching job because I hadn't. I knew that even after when I finished college, there'd be a few years where I'd be anywhere else in the country, renting for a year here, a year there, 2 years. So I hadn't got a place. And I always had I had a final vision in mind, as in I want a display room. So anything I buy is going to be stacked in boxes, and obviously I had less money and less space back then. So it was kind of like, that was kind of like a thing that was kind of going, I want to be able, I don't want to have stuff in boxes. I want, if these things, you're putting this amount of money into them and they're that beautiful, I want them posed up. I want to get
That's
that
exactly
dopamine
what
hit.
I said when they were in boxes behind me.
Yeah.
There was one stage where I was thinking, I could sell this stuff for a few grand, and then I could just, it's so easy to do. But one thing I said to you before, which you've just said, is that once you've got it posed right and think like these module cakes, I mean, I'm on my Apple thing, and the camera's not showing it properly. In real life, these are so vivid, like dark, and the lighting's
Oh no, they
you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, they absolutely they're stunning looking, and I like the way he went for the strip lighting as opposed to the spots.
Yeah,
and it's the cooler light I think works better.
And
Personally.
Shane,
that is designed to cut you off mid sentence.
Yeah.
All right, so I've got a bank here. I want to give you a curveball here.
Go on.
Now this you should be able to answer this better than most because you've been here since 2009. Do you really think the 1/6 scale collecting market is changing from a non-pre-order market, what it was for a while there, to a pre-order market, or is it just Sideshow looking after themselves? What do you think?
I think a lot of people have. That's a really good question, because I think back in the day you had to pre-order. Even with the Hong Kong guys, you had to pre-order. I remember I had a spreadsheet. I used to go with what was his name? Tony at Kidult Toy Store, and he was great. But then he just took the piss with. He just put the fit. Stupidly, I was paying, Hong Kong prices, and then it go up 50 quid. Everyone. I went, oh, see you later, mate. And I must have bought like 50 figures off him, and I just went, whatever. The thing is with a lot of the Hong Kong sellers, there's no loyalty. It's just money, unless you get in with one. There's a few guys that I use now that are cool. I think it's now a buyer's market out there. I think I've never seen some of the prices now, how cheap you can get things for. People are giving it away because no one's buying certain things. The groups in the old days, you couldn't sell in a group now, unless it's a figure that's well sought after. You're giving it away. I think watching all the American guys like Lael and Brother Cousins and Will and all that are talking about this, and Mafia. About the Sideshow, because I don't use Sideshow because obviously we live in the UK, as you know, we get stung with import fees, import tax. It's £50 on top. So I think that it is changing, and I think with what the American guys are saying is that they might be just doing it just to ramp up. I really need that bloody Attack of the Clones shiny.
I need the clone pilot.
300 quid. People are asking for that still. I'm not paying that. I'm hoping it will come down. But I actually put my name down on the Sideshow one, thinking, because but you're still paying less than 300 by the time you get thing. But that's on wait list. I'm thinking, are they doing that to thing, or are they just not ordering enough anymore? if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So it's going to be really interesting.
Like, do you think Hot Toys are making less, or Sideshow are just ordering less for themselves because they've been
I think
burnt?
Sideshow are probably ordering less because I think they must have got stung over some of the. I mean, God knows how much that. I think. Well, going back to the sequel trilogy, those stormtroopers. I mean, that's going back a little few years, but those I've
Jet
had that.
Troopers. They're not exactly flying off the shelves, are they?
I had the Grunt Stormtrooper. I've had it 4 times. I've bought it for. I've always bought it. I want it again just to do the history of troopers. I've had it 4 times, but it's a statue. It's awful, if you know what I mean. But going back to that, I think that people are being more careful what they're pre-ordering. It's not cheap anymore. They're not just going, I want that. I think it's going to be an interesting year to see how it all goes with everything.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
So,
what do you think?
I don't think Hot Toys are making less. I think Sideshow are. I don't have a tinfoil hat for it. Like, I think they were stuck with a lot of stock because 2020 people at home had more money. A lot of new collectors came into the market. Existing collectors were maybe pre-ordering more. I think if you were a collector before 2020, like I was, let's be honest, when we hit 2020, if you were lucky enough to keep your job and still be at home, you definitely did pre-order. I know not everyone was lucky like that, but you definitely did order more.
No, I get it. I had
Sideshow probably sick of stuff sitting in the warehouse, and then they got to do their BOGO deals and codes and stuff that they're like, right, we're going to don't bite off more than we can chew. And now maybe they're ordering smaller batches. Time will tell. It doesn't bother me because I don't order from them anyway. Because I like to avoid customs fees, which that's why I order from Lion Rock. Like, obviously, full disclosure, I review for them, they give me better prices, but the major thing is I don't get stung for customs, which is
I'll do the odd one. I did like the Yoda, Grogu, the statue one, and I did Han Solo and Carbonite and the odd Iron Man. I don't mind paying if it's cheaper than buying it on the secondary market. It doesn't matter if you know what I mean. So. But I'm just interesting to see. Like I say, I'm at the moment. Say if Best Bin Luke dropped tomorrow, I'm just straight on to Hong Kong and trying to get it deal like that. So it's quite
Toys
rare
Buying
for me.
Agent or Line Rock or someone like. So
that's right.
I have a few questions for you. I always like to start this segment. There's one more focus question I have to ask you. We're going to finish up with that. But in terms of the future, I'll ask you the same 3 questions that I start off asking everyone. I kind of know your answers by the sound of things. Do you think you'll still be collecting in 5 years' time?
Yes.
10 years' time?
Yes.
In some capacity? Like, as in, you might not always have magic cases, you might not always have a YouTube channel, but in some capacity, for
I've
the
always
rest
been
of
a
your
collector,
life.
mate. Actually, I've just said to you, I've always been a
You're a lifer. I
collector
you were
of
a lifer.
anything. If it's WWE, is it Star Wars, Jaws, whatever. I'll always be a collector. But I've been doing this since 2009, so that's like 14 years. So I'm still like I watched Brother Cousins with thing yesterday. He was talking about why he got into Hot Toys. It's the realism I love. But it's like having that moment, that perfect looking character, like the Joker behind you. It's near on having a little Heath Ledger there.
And sometimes you'll see me if I'm on a panel and if I'm not talking, I'll go like this.
Yeah,
and I'm looking up at. I'm looking up a lot of the time, looking at him, like, or even sometimes now because Alan, the 6 Scale Gallery, gave me a beautiful Jackson Jew cape for the DX19, and
I'll get that. I need to get that more. Yeah.
It's beautiful. It actually.
But it's like I've got the. I'm looking here, and I've got the Boba Fett in the throne, but the helmet unhelmeted sculpt. Yeah, it's like Tamir Morrison's just there.
Just very cool.
And that's what I love about Hot Toys.
But that's like close to a 10 sculpt.
Mate, I mean, I've got
that is a brilliant sculpt.
I'm looking up there, and what am I looking at? Christopher Lee, Dooku. Do you know what I mean? And you're looking at, there's like, but all I'm saying is just when you look at them, it's like you can't get any better. I mean, we say that, but what are we going to say in 10 years? And what were they like 10 years? When I started collecting, you look at the old Iron Mans and even the Christopher Reeve is a good sculpt now, but can you imagine what they can do now? Yeah. With it. That's what I'm saying. It's interesting to see. I'll always collect. And I think this is definitely the scale that I really enjoy, if you know what I mean.
It's the ideal scale because it's big enough that you get the detail,
Yeah.
but it's small enough, and it's big enough you get the detail and still has presence, but it's small enough that you can get a good few of them. It's not like quarter scales where they will take up your space a lot, or statues. But so the next thing I want to ask you, like, you have a very nice display. Like, you have, like, we're similar in the sense that we don't like clutter.
No.
You have a very clean display. You've got the cool white lights, which I appreciate. And you have, like, a lot of your hobby stuff and very, very, like, neatly displayed and organized in your room. Like, there's no clutter. My question is, like, what does your, like, ideal display space look like? As in, like, if space and money wasn't an issue, whatever, we're all limited by space and money.
Yeah.
What would you do? Would it be like, you know, just one entire, like, room? Would you do, like, you know, a whole massive wall of module cases?
Yeah.
Would you get more module cases?
I
Would
think,
you do a mixture of both? Would you have a theater room? Like, what is your ideal collection room, display area, man cave? What does it look like?
Well, going before I say that is, if you look at my collection, I don't use the original shelves. Hey, Calvin, how you doing, man?
Calvin,
I don't use the original shelves, so stands. I use just the custom. I put everything on these, so they're all like the custom, the old school. This is what this
the
is what
oval one,
the old school ones. But obviously, I get someone to do like the decals.
Right.
And you can take these off and like put the things on, and I just like that because I like it all uniformed. I like it really
consistency.
uniform. Consistency. Everything looks the same. Now, sometimes people might go, "Oh, bloody hell, you've got an amazing base, like, you know, the Vader base from Empire, or even the Bo-Katan one." It's fine. It's just, for me, it looks too cluttered. And also it takes up more space. Ideally, what I'd love, obviously, I'd love a wall. I mean, you know, living in the UK, a lot of the, you know, we've got, well, not as much, you know, we haven't got loads of rooms. Some people got big houses and all that, you know, but I look at some of the American collectors that have got basements and things like that. I know Leo's got a basement and things like that. I'd love that. I'd love a basement with just, you know, a big TV screen and a thing, you know. But, you know, for me, I think I'm nearly there from what I'm really happy about. I'd probably want, if I do get rid of the DJ setup here, I'd like to get another set of module spaces, so it'd just be one wall. Because I think
could you fit in the same length again?
I've measured it. I've already thought about it.
You'd have to get the smaller ones, would you?
Just the 120s I can put there, and even with the Besta, you get the smaller Besta bottom, so it would probably go there. So it'd still look fine. It'd still be.
And
great.
Would that be like the exact same type of display, just a little bit shorter?
Smaller, because you can go for the DF line, which is the ones which I really do like, where you can see, you can get like, you know, they can make a whole display from it, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, where you see, you know, Thanos and then Spider-Man fly. It's, you know, I like those. Justin collecting, got quite a few like that. But I think I'm just going to stay with 1.6. So yeah, it will just be another line just there. But I think at the moment I'm just going to get another module space at the top, which might be a little bit harder to see when you're sitting down, but when you stand up, it'll be fine.
But it's exciting, isn't it? It's. I think as 1.6 collectors, we're naturally disposed to being good at Tetris. I think, because that's what we're doing. We're playing figure Tetris. Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're going to finish off with the final question. I kept myself off there. I finish all the live streams on. So this is a tricky one. Feel free to have a think about it. I can always address a chat or something. But hypothetically, your house is on fire. Touch wood. I hope this never happens to you or anyone else. And you have time to save only 3 1/6 scale figures. Just play my silly game. Yeah, everyone's okay. Family outside. Everyone's fine. You have time to safely grab 3 1/6 scale figures. What's going to be?
Man, it's really hard. Do you know why? Because I don't think. Yeah. No, it's really hard, Shane, because
it is hard. That's why I asked it.
Yeah, because you can always rebuy them. That's what I mean. I've got none. It's not like the old days where, like I said to you, I've got these Grail one of 3 things. You know, I've got.
Like, I realise it's a stupid question. We're just going to run out the door. Nothing is worth it.
Mando. I like the
which Mando?
The shiny new one. The
Chrome Mando. Okay, gotcha.
Chrome Mando. I've got I can never say it. Sasami Nations C3PO.
Tamashi Naked.
That's it.
Tamashi
Nation.
Nation.
Never say it.
Tamashi Nation.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you know what? I'll have Hoflayer.
Yeah, good stuff. That's actually one that I'm.
I know. I saw that the other day
at the moment.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking figure. I think it's one of the better layers.
I think it is, for me, the best one. I wish they'd do the best spin escape. That's what I was saying to you the other day, where it's basically the best spin ringlets with with a gun. I'd have that all day long, because that would be the one. Yeah. They could easily do that.
Oh, definitely. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to Dan in Carbonite on YouTube and follow at Dan in Carbonite on Instagram. Do you have anything coming up on your channel you want to plug or anything like that?
I'm not similar at the moment. Because I've only just started. I think I'm on about 260 followers, which has been great. I'm doing a lot more shorts.
That's pretty damn good. That's great.
It's not bad. I only started like a few months ago. I've got the Joker coming in now. Obviously, I'm probably the last person on earth that's got it. So I'm going to do just some shorts and some quick videos. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm not too sure actually. What's coming up on the channel? Just when the new stuff comes in, really. Oh, I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a Jaws autograph collection thing because I'm going to show that off, and I might do just a few videos. Oh, Michael Myers, I'm getting that Trick or Treat Studios Halloween Kills Michael Myers, because I've got the other, but I send it off to get repainted and re-haired and all that. So I'll do a video on that when that gets back.
Excellent, good stuff. Well, if you haven't done so already, folks, subscribe to Dan in Carbonite on YouTube and follow at Dan in Carbonite on Instagram. If you're watching here now, thank you very much to 26 people who have stuck with us and who've engaged in the chat and everything like that. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, if you consider clicking that like and subscribe button to 16 Figure Focus. We're hit 2,000 subscribers on Revenge of the 5th, which was quite nice. Thought we'd get there on May 4th. That would have been pretty cool, but we were about 3 shy, but we got there the next morning. So definitely really delighted with that. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to 16 Figure Focus on YouTube and follow at 16 Figure Focus on Instagram. Massive shout out to all the troopers and commanders channel members. Channel membership is still available. And 1 second, I actually just popped that in the chat. So I didn't do it at the start. Where is it? Should be here for me. Give me 1 second now. I just want to make sure I have this done right. It's kind of disappearing on me now. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't seem to be here. It's on the membership tab anyway. I thought I had that. No, I'm going to let that go because I thought I had it lined up, but it seems that's disappeared on me. Oh no, here it is. Yeah, there we go. Right, so I'll just pop that into the chat there if people want to become a channel member. And it's there in the chat now, and all the perks are on the membership tab. So massive thank you to all the troopers, all the commanders, channel members, and everyone who's engaged. What's coming up tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time? I've got episode 3 of my weekly 16 show or collecting related show, The Hope Show. Maybe we get some drops tomorrow morning. Not sure what we're going to be talking about then. I've got some other things planned, but we'll see. And also, I got to get Calvin, the low-key collector, on an episode of Visions, and I'm trying to hunt down Collector Joey as well. So that's it, folks. We are out of here. See you, folks. Bye.
Bye.